Yeah. You know that feeling you get when you're not ready to jump in the pool? You gotta break the ice. Yeah, but it's just too dang hot to be outside of this pool, okay? So today in this video, I'm gonna teach you guys how to cut your own hair. All right, it's your boy 360 Jeezy. Let go. So to the wavers out there that want to learn how to cut their own hair, I start off by doing a brush session before I actually start cutting. I use a medium to hard brush just to lift everything off the scalp. By using a soft brush, it tends to lay everything down. So what you want to do is use either a medium hard or a hard brush and do a good brush session before you actually start cutting. So I usually start by my crown area and I'm bringing everything down to a number 2, but notice how with the same stroke that I brushed in, I'm cutting in. So what you guys want to do is just brush your hair while cutting it. It's not that deep. There's not a special way you need to cut it. Just cut it exactly how you brush. So the reason why I start by my crown area is because I want to get the hard part out of the way. Plus I brush from my crown. I start from my crown when I do my brush session. So also it's the hardest thing because you want to keep that area thick. Right now I'm going with a 2 open and I'm going to close it on everything else, but I'm just going around in my same pattern that I brush, trying to make sure that I get all the hair, you know, lifted off the scalp by kind of digging in. So after I cut everything down, I like to do a brush session with a soft brush to lay everything back down, just to do a good session in. That way your waves will, you know, lock down and be in place, and you know, you could, you know, do your taper without having to worry about everything not being laid down. So I like to give myself high tapers. So I start with the bald line. I'm using my Gold FX, but you could use anything that you want. You know, you could close the lever and go up and do the same thing. I just find this easier and more efficient, and time is money. So I'm always thinking about what's faster. So that's why I'm using my liners. Now with my clippers, with the lever open, I'm going up about 1 inch, making sure I have that flick out motion. I'm flicking out because I don't want to set a harsh guideline. I still want to be able to blend in easy when I go with my other guards. So that flick out motion kind of gives you that fade effect. So with the one guard open, in that same kind of flick out motion, flick out and go about 1 inch up.
me to try.
So with the 2-guard open, I'm just gonna flick out, not really setting in the guideline, but just taking out some of that top bulk. I don't really want to set in the guideline, I just want to kind of clean that area up. And use your corners as much as possible. So here's the hardest part of everything, is taking out that middle line. At least this is the hardest part for me, and I know a lot of you struggle with this also, but I like to use my corners and flick out in sections. I don't use the full blade. I use the corners as much as possible, and I just take out that bottom line by not necessarily bringing the fade higher, but just kind of breaking that line. Like every other, hair I'm kind of cutting with my corners. So don't use the full blade. That's just the best tip I can give. This probably is the longest process that you have, is flicking out that middle line, also the bottom line as well. So sometimes the 0-guard close doesn't work, so I like to use my lever open with my corners and just do the same thing. Get those areas where you see bulk and just kind of blend them out. So in the same way you use the 0-guard closed, with the lever closed, in a flick out motion, flick out that bottom line. Notice how I am still using my corners and not the full blade, because I don't want to take off in areas where I'm not really looking and I'm using that full blade, because with your eyesight you can only see that corner of the blade. So don't use the other half of the blade, because you can't see it. You know what I mean? If this makes sense. So right now I'm just doing some cleanup work, got my lever open, and I'm just, perfecting what I did.